At least 600,000 residents flee the city on the first day of the Easter break. Transport Chief Mable Chan reveals that a new Lam Tin North Station near Lam Tin Park will be added to the proposed MTR East Kowloon Line. And U.S. President Donald Trump is confident that the tariff wars will be over within 3 to 4 weeks, including the one with China. Good evening. You're now watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yun. The city saw a surge in outbound travel on the first day of the Easter holidays, with massive crowds packed at multiple border crossings. Immigration authorities confirmed that by 4 p.m., over 650,000 people, including 608,000 Hong Kong residents, have left the SAR. Jeremy Zhu takes a look.
At West Kowloon High-Speed Rail Station, snaking queues for security checks stretched beyond the gates, filling the entire concourse. Ticket screens showed most train services fully booked as travelers with suitcases in tow streamed through the gates. This woman heading to Guangzhou with her family said they had budgeted several $1,000s for the trip, but had no fixed itinerary. She mentioned plans to visit Chimelong Resort and shopping malls for dining, adding that the mainland's larger zoos offer more diverse wildlife, making it a worthwhile experience for her children. Another traveler said she goes to mainland for its unique attractions and lower prices. Planning to visit a water park and try rural cuisine, she criticized Hong Kong's declining service standards, citing high costs and poor attitudes among staff. Meanwhile, the road to Shenzhen Bay Port was congested with slow-moving traffic along the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Corridor. At the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, a steady flow of vehicles were carrying departing passengers. The airport was also busy, with families preparing to fly overseas. This grandmother traveling to Japan with her grandchildren said Easter was a joyful time to spend with the youngsters. She admitted their spending would be more extravagant this trip, with plenty of gifts planned for the children. The Immigration Department estimated 6.04 million passenger trips between Thursday and next Monday, with over 83% passing through land crossings. Meanwhile, the Travel Industry Council predicted more than 3,000 tour groups will leave the city during the Easter period. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Meanwhile, some of those residents who chose to stay in the city flocked to the largest ever Hong Kong International Food Tasting Festival, which runs for 5 days at the Convention and Exhibition Centre. Evelyn Bai reports.
3, 2, 1.
This year's edition of the Food Tasting Festival marks its first return since the pandemic, doubling the scale compared to previous tasting food expos and featuring over 1,000 food brands from more than 30 countries and regions. Speaking at the opening ceremony, lawmaker Peter Shiu said Easter holidays have always been a peak season for local shopping and tourism in the city, and this tasting festival is a great example to encourage people to stay and spend locally. This food lover said the tasting festival is well organized, allowing her to sample products. She and her friends plan to buy some spam and yogurt. This man said he bought some pork jerky and intends to spend around $2,000. However, he noted that not too many people are coming to the expo, as he could enter the venue without lining up outside. While food lovers were happily tasting around, exhibitors may not share the same joy. This food exhibitor said he thought 90% of the customers were here for tasting, while very few were actually shopping. He might not join in the tasting expo next time, but in the food festival instead. This exhibitor said he was happy to see his customers buying the products after tasting them. He originally thought many Hong Kongers would be traveling, so it was good to see people staying and spending. With a $10 admission and various promotions, the organizers expect this year's attendance to exceed 200,000. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mable Chan disclosed that the proposed East Kowloon Line will see a new Lam Tin North Station added near Lam Tin Park, while the Shun On Station will be moved closer to United Christian Hospital. Chan described this as a win-win solution that may benefit more residents and cut costs. Evelyn Bai has more details.
The latest plan for the East Kowloon Line includes 9 stations, spanning 7 kilometers from Choi Hong to Yau Tong. Speaking to iCable News, Chen said, as the East Kowloon Line will not operate as a heavy rail system, it has better hill climbing capability, making room for them to shorten the originally planned 1-kilometer tunnel section from Ma Yau Tong to East Yau Tong, and add an elevated section near Lam Tin Park with a new Lam Tin North Station, covering 3 public housing estates nearby. Chen noted that elevated lines typically save about 10% in costs compared to tunnels. With the newly added coverage, the Transport Minister believes the new route can create a win-win solution. Separately, the location of Shun On Station will also be moved closer to United Christian Hospital, with plans to add pedestrian bridges for better access. Currently, residents must rely on minibuses or hike uphill to reach the hospital. With the proposed line set for public tender next year, the government will consider local, mainland, overseas technologies and joint ventures. Meanwhile, the government targets an autonomous driving system with funding obtained from the Rail Plus property model. Our goal is to obtain 2 parcels of land in Ma Yau Tong to attract more investors and operators, making our system more successful, she added. Chen said, with the route finalized without waiting for the completion of tendering, together with legal procedures and local consultations carried out in parallel, the completion date could be pushed forward by a year or more from the original estimate of 2034 to 2038. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
U.S. President Donald Trump stated that he will not rush to lift tariff measures as they can bring wealth to the United States. He also mentioned that U.S. and Chinese officials are engaged in trade negotiations, believing that agreements could be reached with all countries within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Jeremy Zhu reports.
The U.S.-China trade war shows no signs of cooling down. When asked if he had spoken to Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump did not provide a direct answer, stating that he has been in contact with representatives of Xi.
I think we're going to make a deal with China. We're going to make a deal with everybody. And if we don't make a deal, we'll just set a target, and we'll live with that, and it'll be fine.
How much time do you think you have?
I would think over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think maybe the whole thing could be concluded.
The president dismissed concerns that U.S. allies might side with China over tariffs, declaring America's economic dominance unmatched. Since his re-election, tariffs on Chinese goods have soared to 245%, though Trump hinted at potential reductions to boost consumer spending rather than further hikes. He also mentioned ongoing discussions with TikTok's parent company ByteDance regarding the sale of its U.S. operations, which will continue only after trade negotiations with China are completed, noting that the deal would be advantageous for the Chinese side. Separately, Trump hosted Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the White House. Both leaders voiced confidence in securing a fair EU-US trade pact during the current 90-day tariff pause. Meloni, while stressing she could not negotiate from Brussels, offered to mediate between Washington and Europe. She added that Trump's upcoming Italy visit will facilitate talks with other EU leaders. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has publicly accused China for the first time of supplying weapons to Russia, indicating that more details will be revealed next week, while imposing sanctions on multiple Chinese companies. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that he is unclear on the matter and will not comment. Jeremy Zhu again has the story.
Following the earlier capture of 2 Chinese nationals fighting for Russia by Ukrainian forces, Zelensky has received further intelligence suggesting that China is providing military aid to Russia, including artillery and ammunition. The Ukrainian president mentioned that during a recent phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping, he directly asked about China's support for Russia. He was assured that no weapons would be sold or shipped to Russia, emphasizing that the facts clearly contradict Xi's assurances. Regarding the agreement last month between Ukraine and Russia to pause attacks on each other's energy facilities for 30 days, Zelensky noted that while Russia has reduced its offensive operations, it has not decreased the frequency of attacks, instead targeting other civilian infrastructure. He reiterated that he would never recognize the occupied territories as belonging to Moscow. In other development, Trump stated that the U.S. and Ukraine will sign an agreement on access to critical minerals next Thursday. He refrained from commenting on Zelensky's accusations against China and anticipated a ceasefire proposal from Russia this week.
And I don't hold Zelensky responsible, but I'm not exactly thrilled with the fact that that war started. That was a war that would have never started if I were president. You'd have millions of people living right now that are dead.
Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
In Beijing, the foreign ministry stressed China has never supplied lethal weapons to either side and firmly opposes baseless accusations and political manipulation.
中方在乌克兰问题上的立场
Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lam Tin stated that China's position on Ukraine has been consistent, actively promoting ceasefire and peace talks. He emphasized Beijing has not provided deadly arms to any party in a conflict and strictly controls dual-use items. Lin noted Kyiv is fully aware of this fact, adding that Ukraine itself has publicly acknowledged most weapon components imported by Russia originate from the U.S. and other Western nations. Panda lovers in the city now have more channels to get closer to the local-born panda twins, as Ocean Park has set up the Panda Twins fan club with a wholesome inauguration ceremony today. The city's beloved twin panda cubs, elder sister and little brother, now have their very own fan club, welcoming panda parents to join at a price of $880. All net proceeds will contribute to the park's giant panda conservation initiatives. Members will receive exclusive perks, including private tours to visit the twins alongside special guests. The cubs' nannies also shared some cute updates. Elder sister now weighs 17.7 kilograms, while little brother is now a sturdy 18.5 kilograms. Paulo Pong, chairman of Ocean Park, said as the public have shown much enthusiasm for the cubs, the park hopes to offer a fun, official channel for fans to connect with the twins. On to the weather now. Overcast with few showers and coastal fog at first. It will become hot with sunny intervals during the day. The temperatures will range from 24 to 28 degrees. Expect fine and hot weather in the next couple of days. That's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yun. Happy Friday and Easter weekend ahead.